What do people mean when they say that a candidate can't win? When they say something like, I like Ron Paul, he's got a lot of great ideas, but it's such a shame that he won't win. And, Gary Johnson, yeah, he's a good candidate. I side with .com found that if people voted based solely on the issues, Gary Johnson would win the presidency. What are people really saying? What do they mean by that? Because here's my contention, and here's why it ticks me off. When people say that, they are bowing down to the dictatorship that is the mainstream media, CNN, NBC, CBS, Fox News, self-anointed kingmakers in this country. Because when I see who gets into the top tier, call me skeptical, but when a guy like Rick Santorum, who prior to this election, had anybody ever heard of him outside of Pennsylvania? The guy lost his last statewide race by 18%. This was the best we could do. It's like a job application process, from all the resumes from the American public, everybody who wanted to be president, and they all get whittled down to these few candidates, and they are the top tier. These people must be amazing. And yet, when I take a closer look at them, I'm not all that impressed. There are people that I'm impressed with. I was impressed with Gary Johnson back when he was a governor. Now that guy knows how to stand his ground. He had more vetoes as governor of New Mexico than all the other 49 governors combined, and took a one-man handyman business to over 1,000 employees. He's also climbed Mount Everest. Sure, why not? You did the Bataan Memorial Death March on a backpack and combat boots, and they run in the desert, and it sounds miserable to me, but he's a can-do sort of guy. But then I look at a guy like Newt Gingrich, who was chased out amidst a bunch of scandals in the 1990s, which was the last time he won an election, incidentally. Is he really the best we could do? Is Rick Santorum really the best we could do? Is Mitt Romney, a one-term governor from Massachusetts, is he really the best we could do? I mean, is it his grassroots support? That must be it. It's just, they just speak to the people. Try Googling Mitt Romney huge crowds and see what you come up with. Mitt's not feeling the love. The biggest crowd that I could find when I Googled that was about 3,000 people. Ron Paul routinely blew that out of the water. UCLA, he filled up a 10,000 seat stadium, and there were 1,000 people sitting in trees waiting to hear him talk too. Philly, Detroit, here in Minneapolis, Ron Paul, he was allowed in the debates, right? Gary Johnson was not. They said, oh, sorry, Gary, you aren't in the top tier. Why? How do we know that? Well, you didn't place 2% in our poll, which, incidentally, we didn't include you as a choice. They didn't want to include Ron Paul either. 2008, they didn't include him. They faced so much public outcry that they were pretty much forced to this time. So they took a new strategy for 2012. Okay, we'll invite him, but we won't ask him any questions. When CBS had a foreign policy debate, which is incidentally considered Ron Paul's area of expertise. Of the 8 candidates that they had at that debate, Ron Paul was the only one who had an opposing viewpoint. Hour-long debate. How long would you say Ron Paul got to talk? Drum roll, please. 89 seconds. That's all he got, which, 89 seconds, really, if that's a 40th of the hour-long debate, which might make sense if there were 25 candidates, but there were 8. So, and I think Mitt Romney got like 14 minutes. He always got the most time in all the debates. Why? Because he's the front runner. Why? Because Fox, CBS, CNN, NBC, they said so. Think for yourself. Take a look at the candidates and try to see them without the filter. Use YouTube, use your friends, use, alternative media sources, but don't take their word for it, because they're going to give you a choice between a vomit burrito and a turd sandwich. And my recommendation is that you say, ew, no thanks. I think I'll pass. Oh, look, there's a salad. Or Philly beef and Swiss, if that's more your speed. Just think for yourself. That's all I have.